Well, good morning. I'm Jeff Coleman.
And I'm Deborah Pinkerton. Welcome to Morning Light.
So, President Donald Trump gathered a who's who of the tech world's elite to the White House to address artificial intelligence concerns. Many believe AI's golden opportunity, though, is outpacing the ethics needed to control it. The Morning Light panel will propose a few guardrails to get that important conversation started.
Yeah, that should be a good discussion. But first, here's a preview of what's coming up later in the show. You can be a voice for the voiceless because every life has a purpose. The 5th annual Pennsylvania March for Life rally is in 2 weeks, and we will have a preview.
Can I tell everybody the big news?
Sure, go ahead.
We are going to be there broadcasting live again this year.
Yeah, very exciting.
Can't wait. Well, last Thursday, the CEOs of Meta, Apple, Google, Microsoft, and Oracle, and many others, the kind of a brain trust of the significant slice of the world's big tech industry, met at the White House with President Donald Trump and First Lady Melania Trump.
The robots are here. Our future is no longer science fiction.
And of course, the First Lady added, it is our duty to treat AI as we would our own children, empowering but with watchful guidance. A lot of language about AI, parents and children, and it's a little confusing, I think, for many of us.
Watchful guidance, I like that.
I do too.
Well, the First Lady went on to say, we are living in a moment of wonder. We now have self-driving cars, robots in the OR, and drones redefining the future of war. But she warns the CEOs to be cautious. For many, artificial intelligence is a marvel, and we need to decide who sets the parameters.
I think we have to do it quickly, too.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, a Reuters Ipsos poll taken last month on concerns about AI found 66% of Americans fear technology will replace in-person relationships. An even greater majority worry about job losses and political chaos due to AI. In other words, we just don't know if the extraordinary power of artificial intelligence is good or bad. If AI is, as the First Lady is suggesting, our moment of wonder, what values should guide this new reality? And does the Christian faith hold the framework, hold the key to understanding AI? The Morning Light panel has a few answers this morning, and we have assembled the ultimate panel for the ultimate question here. Gentlemen, this is a very difficult question. I think many people, when they hear the First Lady, it almost felt in a cinematic way, like a movie line, you know, the robots are here, implies that the robots are marching over the mountains. And many people feel, Tannon, that this is where we're at. How have you been processing all of this? And even a conversation where every member, other than Elon Musk of big tech, was there at the White House saying, yes, this is big, but we've got to do something about it. Nobody really knows what to do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, I'm a fan of AI. I think it's any advancement in technology I think is worth exploring. And the general human condition is we are opposed to any breakthrough of innovation in technology. It freaks us out a little bit. And you could talk about, you know, when we switched from horses to cars, from, you know, a rotary phone to a cell phone. I mean, all those things.
Some people, to be fair, have not made that transition
and some people have not yet made those transitions on purpose. And we have a lot to learn from that caution as well. But I think absolutely just to see the relationships, and I think that's a different piece that AI distinguishes itself. People have learned to form relationships with this development of technology, and we don't necessarily have those. And even there's how many red flags are we already seeing about people's relationship with devices? And then you have something that now can think for itself, can generate its own content, and people are actually forming emotional attachments to. You know, there's stories all over about young kids having relationships and the things that it leads people to do and cautions people away from, which it should be pushing them towards, or vice versa. I mean, it is just insane what's happening. But definitely, there's something worth exploring. I think it has a lot of value. But like anything, it can either be a tool or it can be a weapon. And right now, I think we're all a little too aware of how it can be weaponized, especially with the pressure globally to advance it as fast as possible.
So you work with numbers today. You've had a varied and interesting career, and now as the Deputy Auditor General for the state of Pennsylvania, where the implications on the world of finance, the implications on lots of sectors of our life. But what are the questions you want us to be asking? And is there anything, are there Christian questions that should be asked? Or is this just all about how does it work, how can we leverage it, and how can we make a lot of money out of it?
Wow, great questions there. You know, as a professional in the financial area, It's worming its way in. There is no doubt about it. The private sector is embracing it. In government, we're cautiously testing it a little bit, recognizing that it has flaws within it. And in my world, we produce audits to government standards, and those have to be as accurate as absolutely possible. That said, the tools to build productivity are there, and we see people enhancing their own skill sets by doing better quality work by using these tools, but we have to put strict guardrails in place. But kind of going back to Tannon's opening thoughts there, as a Christian and as a citizen, it's fascinating to me that we see this body of collected human knowledge reflecting the human nature and even the fall. We see it going to dark places in its extrapolations.
It's in there, right.
It is, and even the horror situations of calling for the extinguishment of people groups, or calling for murder, or calling for things that are horrific. And so it, as a reflection of the fall of man, it can go to dark places as well.
So I think of that, maybe as Radio Shack, you've got questions, we've got answers. It is really a useful tool, as Tannon's saying, to help us think, process, to open up lines of communication. But we're talking about AI now like a family, mothers, fathers, children. We're trying to apply the same human relationship construct around AI. How do you think about it? How do you put brakes on your own use of AI? How do you find it helpful? Where are the warnings for you?
Yeah, I think the two biggest risks, and I think that that you are just both brought up, is one, making animate an inanimate object. So giving life values to something that doesn't have life, and life is only given by God. So that's number one. And you can't build a relationship with an inanimate object. And I think the risk here, we've seen this forever. Like, people fall in love with their car. Even as a young thing, there'd be like a sitcom where that would be a thing. It's the same thing, but now the technology is so much more, and now the algorithm is wired to tell you you're right, so it incentivizes your use for it. So I think that's number one. Number two, you have to understand the flaws. This is programmed by human beings. With I use it a lot. Grok and Chat, and they're very different. You could ask them the same things, very different response, because the programmers are wired either a little more right or a little more left. So I think understanding the flaws, especially when you start using it in government, it creates artifacts. So you use it to quote stuff, and you have to actually check and make sure those quotations are accurate. So it's, first of all, only God gives life, and I think we have to really understand and keep that first and foremost. You can't build a relationship. It's not a proxy for a human being.
Okay. This is all very clear, very helpful. There are people that are in their 70s and 80s and 90s saying, look, I'm long out of the workforce. All I see is pictures of robots building cars and robots doing surgery and robots maybe cooking food, and they're wondering, okay, what does this have to do with me, and how should I be thinking about it? Does a person after a certain age not have to think about the world that comes after them? But how do we tap the wisdom of older people in thinking through this moment before we go headlong into saying all of government, all of our decision-making, even our sermons, are delegated to AI?
Yeah, I mean, earlier we were discussing in the green room, I think it's an important thing to say out loud, is AI, in its purest form, is a tool to help make tasks easier. But if we delegate to it tasks which actually rob us from the ability to engage in life, being present, doing the things that we're made innately as humans to experience, then I think we're forfeiting a huge part of what it means to be human. I think that's where you have older generations are able to speak into, like, hey, I know that you think it's great that you can get a robot to cook meal for you, but that's like also a skill set that you need, and it's a way to bond with your family and spend time with them. So it's just like, so if you delegate away this task, you're robbing yourself of this opportunity to build relationship and connection with real people. And I think that that wisdom and being vocal about that, having clarity about what those things are, how do we protect those values. This is, I think, why David makes it a point even in faith by saying one generation sings your praises to another. I think there's this responsibility of all generations as we're welcoming this new technology into our everyday life, of being able to see the wisdom from one generation to the next of how do we incorporate things that are new and scary and not give away the very gifts that the Lord's given us.
And the robot can't sing the psalm.
Cannot sing the psalm.
Gordon, any closing thoughts from you?
Well, somehow, some way, we're going to have to put a moral framework in touch with this thing. And as a society, we're very, diverse. Where do we go with that? But ultimately, I think the timeless wisdom in my belief structure of Scripture and that moral framework can inform this, and needs to, because as society, as the product gets ahead of, the morality that helps to frame it, horrific things can happen. Yeah. We need to be careful about that.
And I don't know that we thought, you look at all the junctures in our history, we did not always apply that framework, and there have been consequences
Bad
to
things have
it.
in history.
You delivered a note from our friend Pearl today, yes. Who is advanced in years, and I know that note came with a lot of love and no AI assistance.
Correct.
There.
Correct.
Any closing thoughts, and how we bridge the generational gap so that people in Pearl's generation don't have to be completely overwhelmed by this moment, but still hopeful?
Yeah, well, the Presbyterian Pearl, hello. She is 91 years old, still drives, and we text back and forth. So I think the use of AI to enhance your life and to make things easier and extend the quality of life, who we both benefited from Pearl's quality of life extension.
Yeah, the AI chatbot cannot construct a Pearl-worthy note, and I hope you all get one in your lifetime, because she's extraordinary. But thank you for helping us think through this. We're going to keep coming back to this topic again and again, because there will be changes happening almost by the minute that we have to evaluate, and we can't evaluate it without the lens of our faith. So thank you, gentlemen, very, very much. Well, standing in solidarity for life, you're going to learn how you can join thousands of others in the fight to protect the lives of the unborn. You're looking at the state capitol in Harrisburg, where the 5th annual PA March for Life is going to take place in just 2 weeks. We'll have a preview up next. You're watching Morning Light right here on Lighthouse TV.
Welcome back. Nearly 7,000 people gathered at the state capitol in Harrisburg last year to fight for the dignity of all lives, the born and unborn. The 5th annual PA March for Life rally is on Monday, September 22nd. Joining me is Alexis Sneller, policy analyst at the PA Family Institute. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So give us a preview of this rally.
The Pennsylvania March for Life is going to be a celebration of life. It is just such a unique event where thousands of Pennsylvanians join us from all over the Commonwealth, different ages, different stages of life, but to make one statement that Pennsylvania is pro-life. So we're going to start out at 10 a.m. with a time of worship, because we understand the spiritual nature of this event. And then at 11, we are going to have a rally with nationally recognized speakers. And after that, we are going to march around together our Capitol building.
So tell us about the speakers. There are a number of speakers.
Yes, we're very excited about our lineup. Our keynote is going to be Ryan Bomberger, who's the founder of the Radiance Foundation, has an incredible story, incredible testimony. Then we're going to hear from Pennsylvania Family Institute President Michael Geer, who's also a frequent Morning Light guest. We're going to hear from the National March for Life President, Jennie Bradley Lichter, and then Senator Judy Ward, Representative Kathy Rapp, and Sarah Bowen, who is the president of the Pennsylvania Pregnancy Wellness Collaborative, which represents a network of pregnancy resource centers who are just doing essential work here in Pennsylvania.
And what is the main message we are going to hear from the speakers?
The main message is that unborn life is valuable and worth protecting. And we really talk a lot about why we march, because not only do we see the horrors that happen in abortion, but we see the way that women are scarred and have pains from abortion as well. And so we march because women deserve better than abortion, and unborn life deserves protection.
Every year, this march gets larger and larger. What are you expecting this year, and what do you hope happens?
We're expecting this year to be our biggest yet, because Truth is coming to light every single day, and more Christians are aware of the harms of abortion and the need to take a stand. And I also think that this is the type of event where people are moved, and when they go to it, they want to tell their friends and family so they can experience the same thing.
And everyone is really united at one place, at one time, saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm. It is such an impactful event. I really encourage everyone to come, because just at a foundational level, we as Christians know that we are made in the image of God. He knit us together in our mother's womb. And so this is an opportunity to be a voice for the voiceless. And I really want to tell people to come, because not only will they be encouraged, but their presence will in turn encourage others. We hear from lawmakers every single year just how impactful it is to them to see thousands of Pennsylvanians at the steps of our Capitol building. So if anyone's listening and thinking, I don't know what to do, how do I make a stand? This is your opportunity to take a stand, to use your voice, and to make a difference.
And really, there are so many ways to get there. I mean, we had looked on the site, and there are bus loads coming from Western PA, Northern PA, all over. What's really the best way to find out how you can get here to Harrisburg?
Yes, we have so many resources. Like you said, there's buses from all over the Commonwealth coming in. So go to paafamily.org. You can find all the information you need about the march, and you can also sign up for emails so people can stay up to date on the latest that's happening for family, life, and freedom in Pennsylvania.
And I know last year the weather did not necessarily cooperate, but certainly praying for sunshine this year, but it didn't matter. People had umbrellas and they were standing outside, just trying to proclaim this message.
I think that just is such a clear statement about how much Pennsylvanians care for life, that rain or shine, we are going to be a voice for the most vulnerable among us. So I'm so excited for the event, and I know that everyone is going to be blessed by it. So if you're on the fence, I encourage people to come out.
Well, we will be there, and certainly looking forward to it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for being with us, Alexis.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up next on Morning Light, you will hear from one of the speakers who will be on stage at Pennsylvania's March for Life rally. Stay with us. We're back right after the break. In our last segment, you heard about the 5th annual PA March for Life. Joining me is one of the featured speakers, Jennie Bradley Lichter, president of the national organization March for Life. Jennie, thank you for joining us. Tell us about your role as president of the national organization March for Life.
Thanks for having me. I became the president of the March for Life organization just earlier this year, actually, and I'm only the third president in the 50-plus year history of this organization. So I'm stepping into a beautiful legacy after Nellie Gray and Jeannie Mancini, who led the march for many years between the two of them. So as the president of March for Life, I lead, of course, the National March for Life here in Washington, our state marches around the country, and this year we have 19 from coast to coast. I lead our government affairs work on Capitol Hill here in Washington and around the country, and of course we have just a wonderful, really faithful, really dedicated pro-life team that are really the highlight of what I do every day.
Now, as you mentioned, here in Pennsylvania, this is where one of the March for Life rallies is taking place across the country. You're scheduled to be here for this event.
Yes, this will be my first time coming to the Pennsylvania March for Life, although it's the 5th annual March for Life, but I will be a first-timer. So I am really looking forward to the Pennsylvania March for Life to later this month and being with thousands of wonderful pro-life Pennsylvanians in Harrisburg.
And what do you hope happens at the rally this year?
Well, I'll tell you, one of the really most amazing things about stepping into my job this year has been starting to attend the state marches for life across the country and seeing how inspiring they are, every single one of them. To have the local pro-life community gathered together, it's lots of young people, typically lots of families with children, sometimes seminarians, church groups coming together on buses. The state marches are so inspiring for me, I think, as well as for everyone who attends. Pennsylvania is actually typically our biggest state march out of all of our state marches across the country. And that is a credit to the people of Pennsylvania and to the faith community in Pennsylvania So last year, for example, there were close to 7,000 people at the Pennsylvania March for Life, and it was just an incredibly inspiring day from what my team told me. And this year is going to be a really wonderful event too. And my hope and my goal for this march, like all of our state marches, is that people will leave feeling affirmed in their pro-life commitments, inspired by being with so many other pro-life people, and motivated to advocate for pro-life legislation and engage with the political process in their states and their home community, and just know that the cause of life is built on joy, and the march will really show that, is built on joy and hope and love for moms and their babies, and our beautiful marches really, really demonstrate that.
Yes, we know that buses are coming from Western Pennsylvania, which is definitely, say, a 4 or 5 hour drive for this rally. Why are these rallies so important?
They're so powerful. And I think everyone who's been to one of these marches at the national or state level knows that. And I know that from my own experience of starting to come to the National March for Life as an 18-year-old college freshman. And it really changed my life and changed the trajectory of my life. Being together is at the heart of the human experience, right? And that's true when we come together as a community of faith or a church. And it's true when we come together to advocate together. And I often remind our team too, remember, as Americans, part of our constitutional heritage is assembling and gathering together to make our voices heard, especially on the steps of our legislative buildings or our state capitals or our national capitals. So coming together as a pro-life community is good for us as a pro-life community because it refreshes us and renews us and confirms us in our own pro-life commitments and mission. But it's also so important because of its outward-facing value and that public witness moment that really is only possible when a lot of people join together and raise their voices together on behalf of a cause that they believe in.
And when we hear these voices being heard, how do you hope it makes a difference?
Well, especially in the post-Dobbs era, where some politicians at the national and state level have tried to say this issue is over, or, why do these pro-life people keep talking about this, right? Wasn't the overturn of Roe all that you people wanted? And of course, the answer is no. Too many babies are still losing their lives in this country every day, and too many moms don't know where to find the support and resources they need to choose life for their babies. So we still have a lot of work to do, and marching in the state capitals in particular and raising our voices together is so important for our legislators and our policymakers to hear. And in Pennsylvania, that's particularly important with a lot of pro-abortion leaders in the state government. So we just want to remind them, look, Pennsylvania is pro-life and your constituents are pro-life and want to see the state protecting babies and supporting moms.
Well, we look forward to you being here in Pennsylvania in a couple of weeks. Jennie, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And Jennie will be an inspiring speaker. Once again, the PA March for Life rally is on Monday, September 22nd. If you're interested in attending or volunteering at the event, check out pa.marchforlife.org. And if you're unable to go to the state capitol for the event, Lighthouse TV will broadcast the rally beginning at 11 a.m. Stay with us. We're back right after the break. Welcome back. Coming up tomorrow on Morning Light, science, evolution, and creationism. We are beginning a brand new series called Bible Education 101. Every Tuesday through the end of this month, we will examine the biblical story of creation and God's decision to cover the earth with a great flood. Plus, discover what evidence has been unearthed to prove the biblical story. And that's a look at what's coming up tomorrow on Morning Light. Now, Jeff, your closing thoughts.
Well, first of all, I love this series that you're doing because I think the idea of being able to defend your faith and think critically about some of these bigger questions is essential to what it means to be a follower of Jesus. So I'm looking forward to it. It
is very essential, especially for kids heading back to school now.
That's
I mean,
right.
What they're being taught, they're not being
Gotta balance
taught
it out.
many of these things.
That's right. Well, thanks, Deborah. I'll look forward to that tomorrow. Well, friends, what we believe about human equality matters. Take what's happening now, a series of massive earthquakes and multiple aftershocks rocking Afghanistan. Up to 3,000 dead, thousands more injured, tens of thousands left homeless. While the ruling Taliban government has allowed relief organizations to enter, there are some rules prohibiting women to be treated by male doctors, prohibiting unrelated men and women to have contact, prohibiting female relief workers from entering the relief zone. According to reports, untold women and girls are trapped underneath the rubble, left alone to die. In the first chapter of Genesis, God establishes the equality of men and women. We are, it says, made in His own image. Men and women, regardless of age, deserve the dignity, in this case, of rescue and recovery. So today, if you have a minute, please take a moment to pray for those women and girls in Afghanistan. Pray for the relief workers. Pray for wisdom to prevail. Pray for American leaders to apply the right kind of pressure in the right way to the Taliban leadership in Afghanistan. They need divine intervention right now. For Deborah and the entire Morning Light team, I'm Jeff Coleman. Thanks for watching today. Please check on your neighbors, and then we'll meet back here tomorrow morning.